Today's gospel is one of my favorite gospels of all time. And it's because there is so much hope in it. You know, usually when we preach on this gospel, we talk about Peter and recognizing Christ, and that's really important. But for me, there's so much hope in this gospel. And for me, at least, to understand fully that hope, I needed to understand what got Jesus to that point in Caesarea Philippi. So this is Matthew, in the middle of Matthew chapter 16, okay? If you go back to the top, the first part of Matthew 15, the Pharisees, the Sadducees, and the scribes and some of the chief priests, they're chasing after Jesus. They've come from Jerusalem, they've tracked him down, and they're trying to trap him so that they have some kind of charge to bring against him. And of course, Jesus, with his infinite wisdom, says, you can't fool me. And he puts them down. And then he goes on to the next town and does some healing, does some preaching, teaches his disciples, and they catch up with him, and the cycle repeats itself. Until finally Jesus feeds the 4,000. He gets into a boat and basically tells his disciples, we're out of here. We need to rest. We're going to go somewhere where we won't be bothered. So he goes to Caesarea Philippi. Now, who here knows where Caesarea Philippi is? Don't feel bad. I didn't either until I did some research. But it's today known as the Golan Heights. And it's one of the 3 tributaries that feed the Jordan River. And Jesus is at the base of this mountain, and it's called Her. And this mountain goes up, and then it plateaus off, it flattens out, and then it shoots back up again. So Jesus is on this plateau. And on this plateau, in the side of that mountain that's starting to shoot up, there's a cave. And that is a shrine to the demon Pan. You see, Caesarea Philippi is in completely pagan territory. So Jesus, leastways, Scripture doesn't tell this, but this is how I like to think it happened. He's teaching his disciples, he's acknowledged as the Christ, and I like to think he walks up to the mouth of that cave, and he says, and the gates of the netherworld will not get over and take over my church, will not prevail. I like to think he just threw down the gauntlet to that false demon. That gives me hope. Nothing will prevail against this church. In today's world, I never thought we would redefine marriage. We would say, oh, gee, I don't feel like a guy. And it would be accepted by so many. Or pornography, or cohabitation, or abortion. Wow. We live in an absolutely insane secular world. And sometimes, to me at least, I get a little depressed because I think evil is winning. But I come back to this beautiful gospel. Evil will not prevail against my church. And then the second part of hope is when he says, hey guys, I'm going to give you the keys to heaven. Confession, reconciliation, penance. What a beautiful sacrament. And it's something we should use often. I can tell you from my own experience, reconciliation is wonderful. I'll confess to you the truth, I'm ashamed, but when I was in college, I went to Mass. I didn't go to confession. And one day God hit me between the eyes with a 2x4 and said, you're on the wrong road. I went to confession, and what a thing was lifted off my chest. We never know when our time is going to be. I may drive home tonight in a semi across the center line and I'm gone. Or I could have a heart attack or a brain aneurysm. We don't know our time. Don't we want to be as ready, have our souls as white as possible through frequent confession? I recommend once a month. And it's free, it doesn't cost anything. Now, if you're in confession and he charges you, I want to know about it. Because I guarantee you I will talk to the bishop and we'll fix his wagon. So anyway, that's what I see in hope. Now, I'm a permanent deacon, and you may wonder, sometimes I get questions, what's the difference between you and a priest? Well, first off, I do have holy orders, just like Father, but I don't have all of the authorization that he has. I can baptize, I can witness marriages, and I can bury people. So we like to say, my wife hates this, by the way, so I can baptize, marry, and bury. So we like to say, I can hatch, I can match, and I can dispatch. So anyway, if my wife heard me say this in church, I'd be sleeping on the couch tonight. But anyway, it's that's part of my charism. I'm ordained to three things: liturgy, word, and charity. Obviously, liturgy, I'm assisting Father. Word, I proclaim the gospel. I'm allowed to preach. In my charism, my charity is third option. And it is a program that works with troubled marriages. So, what is third option? That's a weird name, isn't it? Seems to be. But if your marriage is struggling, if it's even in the dumpster, you have three options. Option number one is to stay together and be miserable. And the kids see this, the parents see the spouses see it. It's horrible. That's not a viable option. Option two is divorce. I have a Protestant friend who constantly rags at me about divorce. He's been down that road 3 times now on wife number 4. But he says, you just don't understand the real world. And I said, you don't understand Jesus. He says, well, this is the Catholic Church. My church lets you have divorce. I say, it's not the Catholic Church. It's not the Pope. It's not the bishop. It's not Father's rules. It's not my rules. It's Jesus. Jesus told us specifically, man must not separate what God has joined. You may not divorce and remarry. So that's Jesus' rule. I can't change it. So divorce, that second option, is hard on the soul. It's hard on the family. It's hard on the extended family. The third option is healing and reconciliation. And I'll be a deacon 8 years now, next month. On Our Lady of Sorrows, I was ordained. And the bishop asked me 8 years ago to be the spiritual director of this program diocese-wide. So what is third option? How does it work? Well, before I tell you how third option works, I'm going to tell you how it doesn't work. It's not group therapy. So in other words, you're not going to walk into a third option meeting and say, hi, my name is Deacon Ed. My marriage is on fire because last night my wife burned the dinner and I beat her for it. And it wasn't the first time either. She deserved it. That's just an example. I really don't beat my wife. Or my wife wouldn't walk into a third option meeting and say, hi, I'm Susie. I'm Deacon Ed's wife. And I spend it faster and he can make it. Matter of fact, I bought 5 dresses last week and we didn't have money to pay the electric bill. Now our lights are turned off. Whoa. Nope. We don't do that. Some of our couples want to share what their difficulties are, and that's fine. No one's pressured to. So how does it work? We teach 14 different tools that you can take, integrate into your lives, and make your marriage better. So what are some of those tools? I'm not going to go over all of them. The responsibility and the blame game. Control issues. That's a common one in marriages. Handling anger constructively. Oh, that's a good one. Excuse me, are you two married? You are? I hope so, because you're sitting awfully close. I don't even see any light in between there. Okay. So how long have you been married?
66.
66? Congratulations. That's wonderful. Now this shows you marriage can last. But now this is an important question. I need an honest answer, okay? Remember, Jesus is right there, and there's your future confessor, okay? So in those 66 years, did you ever fight?
Not really.
We had our differences.
You want to rephrase that for me, please? You're saying not really. She's saying, oh, yeah, we kind of had some differences.
Nothing serious.
Oh, nothing's, but you did fight. Come on, help me out here.
There's a difference between fighting and disagreeing.
There is kinda, I suppose. Anyway, well, I'll tell you what, my wife and I fought. But the key question when you fight, and you can call it disagreeing, and maybe sometimes that gets a little more heated. But the point is, do you fight fair? That's the true key. And I've been married 49 years, and for many of those years, I did not fight fair. And I find most couples, even those that are well married, happily married, don't fight fair either. And when you're fighting and you're losing and the claws come out, then you take whatever problem you had and it gets multiplied. What we're going to do in third option is we're going to teach you how to fight fair, because that is so important that you don't compound the problem, especially if your marriage is having problems. Our classes are going to start on September the 14th. That is a Monday. We meet at Blessed Sacrament in West Lafayette at 7 p.m. They last 2 hours. And you're probably thinking, whoa, we're on Central Time, I can't get there. Well, I know the church is traditionally very slow to accept anything and make change, but we are in the 21st century. We Zoom our classes. So it doesn't matter where you are, we can Zoom you in and get you involved in third option. There's never a charge for third option. We're confidential, we're non-judgmental. We've been there. The only perfect marriage is Mary and Joseph. So some of the questions that we get is, how does it work? Well, we have 14 two-hour meetings. And in that 2-hour meetings, it's divided up into 3 sections. Section 1 is a review of what was taught the week before. Section 2 is the new lesson. And section 3 is the most powerful. One of my mentor couples, I'm blessed to have 6, will get up in front of the group and will tell you how their marriage was hurting. How the lesson that was taught that night, they integrated it into their lives, and how that changed their marriage for the better. These couples will not hold back anything. And I'm blessed that they're willing to share the pain that we had. One of my couples, when the husband was 6 years old, just to give you an idea of how deep they're going to go. One of my couples, when he was 6 years old, was molested by his neighbor. It went on for 4 years till he couldn't take it anymore. He got his father's shotgun and he went after him. He couldn't find him, or he'd probably be in jail today. Do you don't think that affected his marriage? And we were able to help him get around that, strengthen his marriage, and now he is one of my mentor couples. Some other questions I get is, well, I'd like to go, but my husband won't, or my wife won't. Doesn't matter. Come by yourself. We have found that more often than not, when one spouse comes, after 4 or 5 or 6 meetings, here comes the other spouse, because they see the positive change in the marriage. I also get a question of, well, I'm Catholic, but my spouse isn't. I don't care. I've got couples that are both Protestant. I'm not sure how they heard about us, but they did, and that's fine. No problem there. We take them. So mixed marriages are fine. I even had a Jewish couple come. That was a lot of fun looking back on it. It wasn't at the time. But anyway, this guy is an Orthodox Jew, huge man. He walks in and his wife, Orthodox, 5 paces behind him with her head down. And he walks up right to me and he says, if this is all about Jesus, I'm out of here. And I said, well, sir, we're going to start with the name of the Father and of the Son, the Holy Spirit, amen. We'll have a prayer to the Father, and we will close like that. So if you can hear the word Son 2 times in 2 hours, you'll be okay. After 14 meetings, he came up, shook my hand, thanked us for saving his marriage. His other hand, he was holding his wife. not 5 paces behind. He learned she was an equal partner, and it saved their marriage. So I don't care what your religion is. Some people ask me, Deacon, my son needs this, but he lives in Timbuktu. I've got a couple in Fort Wayne. I've got a couple in Birmingham, Alabama. I've got a couple in Jersey City, Jersey. I don't care where you're at. We just want to help your marriage. So take a brochure, which I have, schedule. My contact information is on there, and I will text you or email you the link. The Zoom link is about this long. It's a lot easier for me to email it to you. Cut and paste, copy and paste, works a lot better than trying to type it in. I also get questions. People will say, well, I'm looking at the schedule, and my marriage is really pretty solid, but we have trouble speaking the truth in love and understanding expectations. I think one thing should, then just come to the pieces you want. Third option is not mathematics, to where you got to learn to add before you can multiply, before you can do geometry, before you can do trig, before you can do calculus. No, it's not like that at all. It's 14 separate lessons. So come for whatever you need. That's not a problem. But that's our program. So the next question is, well, Deacon, it sounds really great, but does it work? That's where the rubber meets the road. Well, we're in over 20 states. We've been around for over 20 years. And so we got some statistics. And we know this, that for couples that stay with us for all 14 meetings and then do it again, I'm asking 28 meetings, 56 hours of your time to save your sacramental marriage. And for those couples that do that, we have an 85% success rate. 85%. Isn't your sacramental marriage, if you're struggling, worth 56 hours? I'd like to think that it is. To conclude, I want to ask 4 things. Number 1, pray for holy and happy marriages. With a 50% divorce rate, sacramental marriage needs prayer, and prayer is powerful. So please pray for holy and happy marriages. Number 2, if your marriage is struggling, if it's on fire, or you just want to make it better, come to third option. There is hope. We can help. We can help. So please come to third option. Zoom in with us. If your marriage is solid, for those of you that only discuss things over 66 years, you aren't off the hook, because with a 50% divorce rate, you know someone who's hurting. Take a brochure, take our schedule, give it to someone who's hurting, encourage them to come to third option. And fourth, I can always use some more mentor couples. Your marriage doesn't have to be perfect. Matter of fact, it's good. It's actually beneficial if it's not. We're going to make your marriage better, and you have experience to share. And you can zoom in. Of my 6 couples, 2 of them Zoom, 1 from out of state and 1 from Maryville. So consider becoming a mentor couple. And today's gospel is hope. There's hope that the netherworld will not prevail over us, so we should always keep the faith even when we see evil growing. And we have hope of the forgiveness of sins in the confessional, And we have hope for marriages that are struggling through Christ and the third option. God bless you.